All right, Selma, welcome back.
Hi,
How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Not bad. So I wanted to bring you back on because one, your interview was super popular. I did not expect it to do that. Those numbers, that video alone is pretty much responsible for the growth of our channel. So I do appreciate you telling your story with us.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
What did you think about the interview?
Overall, I loved it. I love being able to tell my story. I'm glad that I was able to touch people the way that I did. Of course, it was negative feedback, but I expected that. I didn't really do it for anybody's opinion. I did it to try to help people. So,
Okay. Mostly, yeah, I did see some negative comments, but majority of the comments were positive. So that was really good. A lot of people did appreciate your story. I think there was a lot of people in there. The negative ones weren't really. I think they heard what they wanted to hear
right.
because I think they were completely ignoring the fact that this was a child that committed um, a crime that really you didn't expect it to go that way. It just happened the way it did. But I do want to touch more on it because there was a few people in the comments that felt like there were some things that we didn't touch on and that they wanted to hear more from you. So I wanted to just go ahead and do that today.
Okay.
So let's just start off with your mom. I know a few people in the comments were curious about your mother. I know you mentioned in the last interview that she was arrested during your childhood due to some drug related issues with her selling. Could you speak on that?
Yeah. When I was very younger, I had to be at least like 10 or maybe 11. She had got arrested and went to prison for drugs she had got sold to an undercover. And my Aunt Brenda had ended up telling on her. That's the story that I was told. And she ended up doing some time in prison. And during that time, we were living with my grandmother.
Okay. Do you remember the incident, like the day that she was arrested? Was you there, or it was like a big raid or
I
something?
don't recall being there when it actually happened. All I recall is my grandmother taking us to court when she went through her court procedures. I don't really recall the whole how it happened or whatever. I remember the undercover coming to the house. I
Hmm.
remember the white man coming to the house, but I don't remember anything like after that. Like if it went down right there, I don't. It didn't. I only remember going to court.
Okay. Do you know to what extent your mom sold drugs? Was it just kind of like she was selling a few bags a week here and there, or was she kind of like a serious, like deep into it?
She wasn't like no cartel type of lady, but I mean she was moving stuff here and there. It wasn't, constantly or consistent
Hmm.
like that. And she wasn't like distributing to the dope boys on the streets or nothing like that. But I mean she had her own little flow of business.
Okay. But when she was around, what kind of mom would you say she was? Like in terms of, was she like one of the mothers that was more of like a friend to you than like a
No, she was definitely a mom. Um, my mom, she wasn't like, no, you could do what you want type of thing. She definitely was strict on us, like I had said in the last interview. Like I have to, take the responsibility. I didn't have a fucked up upbringing. I didn't have a reason to be running the streets and doing what I wanted to do. I just did it because I wanted to. And because it was strict at home and I couldn't do what I wanted to.
Okay. Well, yeah, I just wanted to know that because a lot of people was curious, especially since um so when you told your mom about the situation, the day that event happened, when you told her, what was her initial reaction to you telling her that you guys were getting ready to go rob some people?
Her initial reaction, of course, she didn't want me to do it, but at that point in my life, my grandmother had just passed. So my mom wasn't even really all there. Like she was there, but she wasn't there. So at that time, I can definitely say that she was probably letting me do whatever I wanted
Hmm.
to do because we were going through the middle of a tragedy. So it was a lot like I don't want people to get the wrong interpretation, like she just was a horrible mom, and that's why I did the things I did, or my upbringing. Yeah, I didn't have a father, but my mom was my mom and my father. She picked up the weight that she didn't have to pick up. So it's not her fault. Do kids need a mother and a father in their life? Absolutely. I think that's very important. But for the ones that don't, and for the single moms that are making it happen, like, it's possible. It's not, people don't turn bad all the time because of the way they were raised. And I think that people really think that that's the case. No, you get exposed to certain things whether you're raised in the strictest household there is. You could be a Christian raised in church, but once you take it upon yourself, if you're in a public school or if you just walking down the street, kids is curious, they want to know stuff. The more you tell them not to do things, they're going to do it. And that's how it was for me. The more you tell me not to do stuff and I'm watching you do certain things, I'm like, well, why can't I?
Exactly. And I think a lot of people, like some of the comments, I just shook my head because I was just like, I'm like, man, I come from a similar situation where I grew up in a good household, but I was surrounded by, demons and people who are also dealing with crazy things. Like everybody else, we all grew up in the hood. And I think that for some people, it is easily to be influenced by your surroundings. And even though I didn't choose that route, I have friends that are now doing life in prison for something they did as a child. So, like, I just feel like for some people, especially if you're not from those situations, it's very hard or it's very easy to say that, oh, she deserved that because she did what she did. I'll be like, okay, you did what you did, but I don't think that you should be judged for the rest of your life for one bad decision that you made, especially when you're a child with an undeveloped brain. So I did want to address that because it was a few people that were just talking crazy, and I'm like, I don't see how y'all don't understand that this was a child, and somebody did lose their life. So I don't want to kind of neglect the fact that somebody did lose their life, but at the same time, you were a child and you weren't even a person that pulled the trigger. You were just there, and it happened how it happened, unfortunately. But um, I don't think some people understand that it's super easy to be influenced when you are living in the trenches. It's easy to be influenced by what's going on around you.
Absolutely. And also, I mean, I don't want people to feel like I'm trying to address every comment or everything that they said in that interview, but what I do want to make very clear, because if there is any relatives of the victim watching or whatever, I'm very remorseful for what I did. I'm very sorry for what I did. There's not a day that goes past that I don't think about what I did. I've gotten older and I've grown to forgive myself for it. Whoever don't forgive me, that's fine. I'm cool with that. But I forgave myself, and God know my heart, and He know, what I feel about it, and He know what I've been through about it. So I don't want people to feel like I'm not remorseful. I'm very remorseful. I know what happened. I'm not oblivious to it, but I'm not gonna live the rest of my life miserable about it. Like, I paid my price for it.
I mean, yeah, you did 16 years, and I mean, I don't think people understand truly how long 16 years. I'm 26, so you take 16 years away from me. I'm a child, like a baby, or not a baby, but like a small child. So 16 years to me is like a huge number. So I can even imagine being somewhere where you're being told what to do and how to do it at the age of, you went at 15, right?
Yeah, I went got locked up at 15. I turned 16 in the county, and then I went to prison.
Okay. And kind of speaking about prison, so what was some crazy experiences you had in there? Now I know you mentioned that you saw a few fights, but how did you do your time? Because I watch a lot of prison videos and they say everybody does their time a certain way. So how did you do your time?
Well, far as how I done my time, I can't really say. I mingle with people. I kind of got like relationships established where could move how I wanted to move. I Made sure I had me a little job in there so I wasn't always in my room.
What
I
kind of job
tried
was it?
like a porter job. You either could clean something in the unit, like you could clean the carpet areas, which is like the areas that you sit out at, or you could do the bathrooms, or you could do laundry, or you could work in the kitchen. I used to always have a job in the kitchen. That's where you could, steal the produce in there and then take it back to the unit and cook it. So I try to stay in there because, like I told you, eating was an issue for me.
Yeah. Did you like what they call them spreads? Did you do a lot of spreads, or would you guys not? Did you not call it that?
They never called it spreads there. What is the spread first? Tell
Well,
me.
they were. I see the TikTok. They be making what they do is they'll put like some ramen noodles and some chips in a
Oh
bag and
yeah,
hot water.
no, we don't call those spreads in. I've never seen. I ain't never cooked nothing like that in there. They mostly do that kind of stuff in the men prison where they put the noodles and all the stuff in the bag.
Yeah.
Nah, women, we put our stuff in bowls.
Oh. So you said the men live like cavemen.
Yeah, they like put all the shit together. Let's just cook it and eat it. We gotta cook shit separate, and it's gotta be presentable. Some men don't do that.
I just think it's interesting because I mean, I am. If you're watching this at home, you could probably relate. But like, I spend a ridiculous amount of time watching prison videos from people who went to prison, and it's like a whole nother world. So it just interesting to see that it's because most of the people I watch are men, so they talk about men in maximum security for men. Were you in a maximum security, or what level of prison were you in?
I was definitely in level 4, which in the women's prison would be considered maximum security. It's not maximum because you have at the time it was called Essex. I don't know what it's called now, but that was like level 5. I was in level 4, which is like high security, but Essex is the highest.
So was you, because you were pretty young when you went in, was your case kind of like a big situation, like a I guess I want to say like a famous case,
like a big deal in there? Yeah. Well, yeah, because I came in so young and I got treated like a baby when I came in there. Like they wouldn't even let me. It was this counselor. Her name was Miss Gordon. I love her to death. She was very like on me, like trying to make sure I was doing the right thing and trying to keep me away from people she knew was not for the right thing in there. And they wouldn't even let me smoke cigarettes, even though I was, you know, tried as an adult. I was sentenced as an adult. They still wouldn't let me do stuff that, you couldn't do as a kid. So.
Mm-hmm. So, but you were still in the same dorm as adults.
Absolutely. I was in a room with an adult when I first came in there.
So what is that like? So like, do you guys have like certain rules, like where like, okay, I got the top bunk, or
you gotta... No, when you come in there, you basically assigned a bunk. If you put in a room by yourself, I mean, sometimes some officers will let you pick, but for the most part, you're assigned a bunk. When you go in there, they assign you the bunk. I was assigned in the room where first I was in intake. In intake, you're in the room by yourself until you're moved upstairs. Then you get a bunkie. And you stay there about 30 days average. That's what it is. I ended up only staying 13 because I was young and they wanted to hurry up and get me in close custody.
Okay. Did you ever have to spend time in like the hole, or did you guys have that?
Yes. I went to SIG a lot. I went one time for fighting, but for the most part, it was for getting tickets or administrative segregation where you've gotten too many tickets. But that's about it. Or dangerous contraband.
Okay. All right. I know I kind of jumped a little bit because I should have asked this after your mom, but I kind of wanted to kind of brighten this mood up a little bit.
No, thank you. Yeah.
But
because it was getting thick.
Yeah, I felt it. So your dad, could you kind of speak on him, like, because I know he wasn't around as a kid. Was he like a dad that completely wasn't there, or was he like in and out type of?
He was completely not there. The most I remembered about him before I took the initiative to go see him myself was when I was like 2 or 3. My mom went to visit him when he was in prison.
And what did he go to prison for?
I have no idea. Like, I don't have no stories about his life alone. I only have like stories that my mom and my grandmother told me about when he didn't want me. Like, he didn't want my mama to have me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten older, and like I said, I've forgiven him, and I've went to see him, and I still try to keep some kind of line of communication open with him. He's very sick right now, so
Mm-hmm.
I need to go see him. But other than that, I don't like have no stories with him, no nothing. He was not there.
Did they ever tell you why he didn't want you? Was it just because he was too
I
young,
think
or?
at the time he was on drugs really bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was I think it was heroin if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not positive on that. But I know it was because he was on drugs really bad.
Now I kind of have a weird take on that because I feel like if that is the case, then could you really blame them? Because I feel like people who are addicted to a substance just like heroin, that's crazy. People who are addicted to that is like they're really trapped in their body and they can't really control it, and
They don't
they
have
know it.
oh
No, you're
shit,
fine.
sorry.
They know they can't control it, so that's their way of like not kind of disappointing you. Even though they're not there, it's going to disappoint you. But I feel like that's their way of kind of saving you from them.
I don't blame him. Like, I think that was a part of it that helped me to actually heal, because I really didn't understand at first. And then when I was locked up a couple times, he did try to reach out to my mom to get in contact with me, but he was locked up at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think I ended up getting a letter from him one time. I think it was so long ago I can't really remember, but I do believe I heard from him one time, and then contact just got lost. I don't blame him because of his addiction. I do, however, feel that when you did come out of that addiction, I should have been a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that I was. But however, come to find out, I have at least 14 siblings. So
That was gonna be my next
me
question.
being a priority, like
Mm-hmm.
that's high and low and hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
He has so many other kids. But I have had the opportunity to be in contact with several of my siblings by him. And it's been great. I mean, we don't know them all. We've been trying to locate them all, but he don't even know where they all at. So
Okay, that's crazy. Yeah, that was gonna be my next question: is if you had any siblings? What about on your mom's side? Were you like only child?
on my mom's side, it's me and my brother.
Okay. And how was your guys' relationship? Or is he like the older brother or younger
He the
brother?
younger, he the baby.
Okay.
It's excellent. It's beautiful. I love my brother. And far as my dad that raised me, I have siblings on that side as well. I got 4 brothers and 3 sisters, 4 sisters, I believe. I might be doing the count wrong. It's so many. But them definitely my brothers and sisters too.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I was curious about that because so was he I'm sure it was like a lot of that was like real hard to be away from your younger brother and then like
Yes, because at the time, also like during that time, people are like, this can, I don't know if it's gonna clear up something for people, and I really don't care. But when this happened, this whole crime had happened, my brother had actually got into a car accident where he had got hit, the car had hit him and it knocked him like 5 to 6 feet in the air. And the only thing that saved him was he had on a helmet. He was coming from football practice. But nonetheless, he had to learn how to walk, talk, and eat again. And my mama was absolutely delusional. So it was my granny dying, then my brother, and then here come me. So things just happened so drastically for her that, like, she probably didn't care what I was doing. She didn't have time to focus on what I was doing in life because she had so much other stuff going on in her life. And I think she just wanted me there. So at the time it was like, okay, you dealing with this boy. He was, staying with me. I was too young to be having a boy staying with me, but if it was gonna make me stay at home because I ran away all the time, I didn't want to be there. She was like, okay, just, okay, you're here. That's what she wanted at the time. But like I said, she had a lot going on. And my brother he was in a coma for 2 months. They had to rush him to,
Wait, how old was he during this time again? I'm sorry.
he was 8 when he got hit.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's super unfortunate. So, by the time he got out of the coma, you were already in prison?
By the time he got out, I was in the youth home. That's when the stuff had just started happening. He had got out, he was doing functioning, doing therapy. And at that time my mom was, trying to take care of him, take care of me, and focus on the house. And then I that happened. I went to youth home and it was all over after that.
Okay. Another thing that I wanted to ask you, what we kind of skipped over in the last interview, you had mentioned that one of your co-defendants was the niece of the mayor of Muskegon, and that was like really wild to me because how did you guys go about doing something like that with her? Like, was that like she not really, y'all didn't think about that at the time as the fact of her
That
being married?
was totally. I don't even think. I don't. Let me rephrase that. I was told at the time that was her aunt. Now I don't know if she was like her real blood aunt or like a friend of the family type aunt. So at the time, we wasn't thinking nothing about no consequences on who we was gonna be disappointing, who we was gonna be hurting, or none of that, because what happened was not expected to happen the way that it happened in the first place.
And I think one of the craziest parts of that story to me, the craziest part, is the co-defendant that pulled the trigger that was wearing the wire. I didn't understand how, like, why they would even let him do that because he's the guy. Like, they already had him.
Well, to my understanding, when I did end up talking to him about it, because it was a lot of stuff on there about that, but like I said, I don't care. It wasn't war to be used in court, is what he told me. Now, what reasons was it for to have it on while we were all sitting there? I don't know. I don't get the point of it. I don't understand it. But it was told to me that it wasn't admissible in court. So it wasn't going to be used. Why it was war, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So to kind of wrap it up, do you think that your prison stay was necessary, or I guess what is your opinion on that whole situation? Like, do you think that you needed that to kind of?
I definitely think I needed that. I think that at the rate my life was going and the path that I was going down, like I was out there, I had been raped, like molested. It was so much going on in my life. I think that I needed to be taken out of the situations that I was in because I wasn't listening and I wasn't trying to do the right thing or be for the right thing at that matter. And I feel if I wouldn't have went to prison, I would have been dead or maybe something worse.
Do you think that? So you say you were raped and molested. Was this like in your teenage years, or was this?
I was molested when I was 11. I was raped when I was 14.
Was this like at school or something?
No, it was from running the streets. This I'm not gonna put his name out there, although I should, because he wasn't convicted of it. But I was hanging in the streets as a runaway, and I was on my way to my friend's house one night, and I knew him. I used to talk to him, but he was mad because I didn't want to mess with him because at the time I was messing with one of his friends. So I was leaving, and one thing had turned into the next. We started fighting, and he raped me. And I don't think that I've properly dealt with that, but I've just swept that under the rug, and I'm gonna just leave that there. It happened. It made me a better person because I dealt with it the way I wanted to deal with it.
Did you? So did that really change your? Well, how old was he when he did it?
I believe he was 18, 18 or 19. He was much older than me though.
Okay. Do you think that made you have a dislike for men? I hear that a lot with victims. They usually say that made them hate men or just look at them differently.
To be very raw and honest, no, I'm not gonna say it made me have a distaste in men. Certain things that you do or draw a red flag for me.
Hmm.
But far as like totally being like to him, no. And then a part of me be feeling like that's weird because I should feel that way. But like I said, I kind of dealt with it how I needed to deal with it because at that time that it happened, I don't even know why I didn't just deal with it then. I don't know. It's just crazy now that I'm even thinking about it or looking back on it. Like I don't know. I tried to deal with it, but the way things was going on, it just didn't get taken care of mentally for me or the whole situation. Period. So I don't really know how it makes me feel even talking about it. Like I don't dislike men for it. I don't know. It's just a weird feeling. I don't even know how to describe
Yeah.
it.
Um, so I just kind of what I take from it is like a lot of the stuff that was going on with you as a child kind of desensitized you to what most people, regular people, would be like real sensitive to. Because like for a lot of people in our culture, if we grew up in the hood, like seeing somebody get beat up or shot or something is normal, and it's like we're desensitized to it. But if you go get, and I don't want to just say all white people had it easy, but let's just say you get a random white person that grew up in the suburbs, they spend a day in the hood, what is regular to us is going to be insane to them. So that's what I take from it. Like I said, I don't blame you for what you did. Everybody in the comments that has something to say, even though it really don't matter at the end of the day, the support was outweighed the negative feedback, like outweighed it by a lot. You got 60,000 views probably by the time this uploads, and all of the comments are majority. You got a lot of fans that love you, and I'm gonna help you capitalize on getting your story out there, trying to help the at-risk youth, and going from there. But I do appreciate you sitting down with us, and like I said, I
Absolutely.
don't blame you for anything that you had going on, because at the end of the day you was a child, and that's kind of how I look at it, period. I feel like in general, decisions made at that age just cannot be held against you for the rest of your life. That's my stance on it. I don't care what nobody got to say. I stand behind that. So, like I said, I appreciate you coming on again.
Thank you. I appreciate that.